Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back with me here at Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. Thanks so much for tuning in. As many of you know, I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm located here in Gastonia, North Carolina, but I can take care of you anywhere throughout the United States of America. So if you're not currently working with a demonstrator and you would like to learn more about Stampin' Up! Or you'd like some of the products that you see me use in my videos, please reach out to me and I can help you along the way. I can also, if you join my Facebook group, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping, and the link for all of these will be listed in the description below. You can stay up to date on everything that's happening, any sales, promotions, and also I post all of my projects there along with the video. So that way you don't ever miss out on anything. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please think about doing so. It doesn't cost a dime. You will be notified of videos when they go up so that you will be one of the first people that know that I have something new on my channel. So thank you so much for your support and your time, and we're going to jump right into our project. I'm going to use this suite called the bundle called Quiet Meadow, and the Meadow Dies. They coordinate with this. It's a beautiful set. I think this goes overlooked in our catalog, but it is a beautiful, beautiful set. And I made this card, and if you caught my live last week, you remember I did the same M-fold, but I did this one as a landscape with just a little bit different take on it. Instead of making it an M-fold, I actually glued my piece together and I made it like a pop-up. So you have a place here for a message, but then it also pops up so you have a message here and here. I thought it was just really cute. I love the way everything coordinated, and I'm going to tell you what I used. Besides using this this suite, I also used basic black cardstock for my card base. I used Calypso Coral. I also used the Calypso Coral ink pad, and I have some white, and I have a piece of the Golden Rose metallic specialty paper. This paper is so beautiful. This is the rose and this is the gold, and look how gorgeous they are. Such a pretty pack of paper, and this is so smooth. I mean, there's no glitter that you have to worry about coming off on your surface. It's just a beautiful pack of paper, and this is actually in our annual catalog, so this is not something that's going away right away. All right, what we're going to do to start with, I'm going to move everything out of my way, and we're going to work on our card base first, because this is a little bit different card base, because we are going to be cutting it on the 8.5 inch side. So that 8.5 inch side is going to go to the top of our trimmer, and we are going to move that down to 5.5. So it's going to be 5.5 by 11. So just bring it to there and give it a slice, and then we're going to do some scoring. Now this this particular card base, you're going to turn it to the 11 inch side, so your long edge will be to the top, and we're going to put our first score at 4 1/4, which is a basic base. Make sure you do this. Make sure you pull that cut blade down. I like to bring both of my blades down because I have a tendency to want to push up. That gives me a chance of not messing up my cardstock. Sometimes when you pull down, if you're not holding really tight to your paper, you can drag your paper with you. But if you're pushing up, it's going to go up against this ledge, and you're going to have a nice straight cut or score every time. So I'm going to score that at 4 1/4, and then we're going to move it over to 5 7/8. Now 7/8 is going to be that one long mark, not the small mark before the 6, but if you've got one that measures in 16ths, it's going to be 7/8 will be right before the 6. So you're going to score there, 5 7/8, and then you're going to move it down to 7.5, and you're going to score one more time. So 3 score marks across this piece, and when you finish, it's going to look like that. You're going to have a smaller section here that measures, and I think I moved my ruler. It's okay, we can use this one. This is measuring 3.5. And then each one of these are measuring, I'm going to have to grab my other ruler. These are 1 3/4. So each one of these sections is 1 3/4, and this is your 4 1/4 inch, which makes it an A2 size card. And I'm going to show you when you get ready to fold this, if you will come back and watch how I do this, it will make this card so much simpler for you to put together, because what you want to do is when you are, and I like to turn mine over because I like to fold where my mountain, where I press down into the cardstock, so I have the mountain right there on the fold. I like to fold that in. So what you want to do is just fold that over, and I'm going to get my bone folder because we definitely need to crease this. Anytime that you want your cards to lay nice and flat, you really want to work that crease line. Then you're going to turn it over, and you are going to press this one down this way. So it's going to be a valley and a mountain, and then a valley. When you finish, you're going to have that short 3.5 inch piece to the front. You're going to have a valley, a mountain, a valley. So thus your M card, or more like that, M card. So just remember that you want a raw edge here, you want a folded edge in the middle, and then your 4 1/4 inch piece will be right here. So I'm going to reinforce these score marks one more time, just making sure that I'm getting everything nice and creased, because that, like I said, that makes it crucial with a card that folds like this. But now the good thing about this one, we're going to be sealing this part together. So in the other card we didn't, that was left open, but this time we're going to seal that together. But let's go ahead and cut our piece of Calypso Coral, and I got to grab my ruler to make sure I'm getting my measurements completely right. So this piece is going to be 5 3/8 by, let me get over here to the side so I'm making sure I'm getting a correct measurement, by 3.5. 3 3/8. So 5 3/8 by 3 3/8. So remember, all of these measurements will be in your description, along with all the products that I used, the inks, the colors, and also an order number. So I may try to make it as convenient in case you decide that you wanted maybe some of this beautiful foil paper, or maybe you like the stamp set or the dies, or maybe one of the cardstocks that I used. Now I did decide that I'm going to do it a little bit different inside than I did here, so we'll get to that as we continue to make this card. But I'm going to grab my piece of coral cardstock and grab my trimmer again, and we are going to trim this to 3 3/8. So 3, 1, 2, 3. If you learn to count your 8s off, it will be so easy. 2 8s is going to always be a quarter, and then one more over before you get to a half is going to be 3 8s, because 4 8s is a half. So when you start looking at your breakdowns like that, your measuring becomes much easier. The same way now we're going to go to 5, and we need 3 8s, so 1, 2, 3, and then we're just going to slice that. So this gives us our piece that is 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. So what I want to do now is I want to bring out that Calypso Coral ink. I'm going to need a piece of cardstock, and I had used this before, so I'm going to use this piece once again. And I am going to grab from the stamp set, they have this little speckled piece, and I love that. I think it's so pretty. And we're going to do tone on tone. So I'm using Calypso Coral cardstock, and I'm also going to use Calypso Coral ink. And that's just going to give us that lovely, soft, tone on tone color. that just adds a bit of elegance to your card without a whole lot of work. So I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to try to remember to stamp off. So we're going to do like second generation stamping, like that. Like that. And just stamp, you know, randomly all around your piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want that splatter of ink. Oop, and I didn't do that one off. That's okay. I didn't do that one either. And that's what happens sometimes when you're in a hurry, or you're just, as me, talking. Sometimes I get a little bit, just a little bit overzealous, and I don't take the time to think of what I'm doing because I'm talking. All right, that looks pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want some little splatters where it looks like somebody did a little bit of this number and splattered just a little bit of ink here and there. So I'm going to lay that over to the side. I am going to bring my Simply Chamois, and I'm just going to wipe that ink off. And this just has water on it. Just want to clean that excess ink off of that stamp. That looks good. And now we are going to, I think I want to build everything onto my card before I go any further. So I'm going to move this out of our way, and I'm going to grab the white cardstock, and I'm going to bring out this beautiful meadow flower. Isn't that gorgeous? And what I want to do is I want to stamp this, and I'm going to need a larger stamp block for that. So I'm going to grab this one. And about like that. And then I'm going to take my Momento Tuxedo black ink, because I am going to use some alcohol markers on this. So that's the reason I chose this ink, because I can color with alcohol markers without the ink moving. Water will move your Momento ink, but not alcohol. So I am going to take this and just stamp it down right about here. And I'm pressing to get a good, make sure I'm getting a good image. How pretty is that? Now I'm going to let that dry just for a minute before I take alcohol to it. So while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and clean this stamp. This is why water cleans Momento ink so well, because it will move the ink. And look, I got Calypso Coral on my finger. Does not surprise me at all. I'm wearing the ink after I finish a project every time. So I'm just going to take that and wipe that off. And we also, I'm going to bring this back over, because maybe over on this end, I'm going to use the stamp that says thinking of you. We're going to cut that out. I think I'm going to use that die that comes in that set and cut this little label. Instead of saying hello, it's going to say thinking of you. I wanted to try to stick to this bundle and not go outside of it. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming, especially if you're new to Stampin' Up! And you don't have a lot of the products, to feel like you have to buy everything that's shown. So with this, you would only need a couple ink pads, a couple of packs of paper, and the stamp set and die, the bundle. So that kind of makes it a lot easier on our wallet if we wanted to pick those items up. So I'm going to grab a stamp block, and I'm going to pick that up. And I need to decide if I want to do this in, I think I'm going to do it in black. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do this in Tuxedo black. I think it'll have a real pretty showing on the front of the card. Now, even though we have dies for these, we have dies with this set, we do not have a die that cuts this out. So we will either have to fussy cut, or if you have a Brother Scan and Cut, you can scan it in and have it cut it for you. And for the sake of the video, I did do that, but I'm going to show you a little bit of the coloring techniques that I used, so that if you wanted to color this, it would give you an idea of, you know, how to do that, how to blend your colors and get the beauty of the alcohol markers. Now, I have just a few of my markers. I have the Old Olive, the Light and the Dark, the Calypso Coral, Light and Dark, and Daffodil Delight, Light and Dark. So I'm going to start out with my dark Calypso Coral, and I'm going to use the bullet tip instead of the brush. And let's zoom y'all in just a little bit so you can see exactly how I'm coloring this. I think that's good. So I'm going to go in, and where these lines are, I'm just going to put down a little color. You don't have to be perfect with alcohol markers. That's the beauty of them. And where these dark marks are at, now this one right here, I want this to be dark on the bottom and up the side, and this little piece here as well. But now I'm just going to put down a little bit of coloring around where those darker edges are showing, just like that. I want to come back in with the light Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to use that same bullet tip, and I'm going to just pull some light into that dark. I don't want a whole lot, just a little bit. Just like that. And I see one more of the little buds that I didn't get with the dark Calypso Coral. So I'm going to go back and just put a little bit of color on that. Then I'm going in with the light Calypso Coral. And we're going to use this to kind of blend everything out. So this is the one that's going to do all of the beauty for us. And even these little buds, we're just going to come in on the side and just blend that in with the dark. And you want to be careful, try not to go outside of your lines. Sometimes it's hard on these little pieces that are so tiny. You've got little small images and your marker is a certain size. So sometimes it is hard to stay exactly where you need to be, but you know, just try your best. And if you get out, I'm going to show you how you can fix it. I think I'm needing another Calypso Coral marker because this one seems like it is just about getting dry on me. So I'm going to turn it around and see if my brush tip is a little bit juicier. And it is. Now when you get your alcohol markers, you'd never want to stand these up on end in a jar or any type of little bucket or container. You want to make sure that they're laying flat like this. The alcohol markers do not do well in a vertical position, so you always want to try to keep those horizontal. Okay, the next thing I want to do is come in with my dark Old Olive, and this I find so much fun because what I'm going to do is just streak in these leaves just ever so gently, just a little streak here and there. Even with the stems the same way, just, You know, doesn't have to put down a lot of color. Y'all hear my puppy dogs are snoring. I'm not sure if that's Toby or Bella, but they're both in here under my feet. So it's probably both of them. Oops, I'm out of frame. Sorry. So I want to make sure that you can see. I'm just, you know, putting a little color in. And we're going to go back with the light Old Olive. And we're going to try to blend this in. So with this, I'm just going to go back in and color. These leaves are very, very dainty. They're very small areas. So it doesn't take a whole lot to color them in. But as you can see, as you color, everything's starting to blend, and you have a variety of different colors of green. Now I went outside the line right there, and I want to show you. You can purchase the alcohol, the Stampin' Blend color lifter, and this pen is just what it says. It will lift color. Not only will it lift color, if you put too dark of a color down and you need to lift it up a little bit, it will allow you to do that, but it also lets you correct. So it's like an eraser. So if you go outside your line, you can come back with this and just go right beside of it, let that dry, and then your lines that you went outside of the line with will go away. And let's say if you wanted to lighten inside here, you can lighten just by going over it. Now it's alcohol, so you have to wait for it to dissipate and kind of evaporate before you can actually see what has happened. But that will show you how you can lift color, and isn't that pretty? Okay, so I'm going to lay that over to the side because I have my piece already done, if I can find it. And I have a Thinking of You already ready to die cut. And here's my piece already colored. And so this is ready to go onto our card. I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die machine and cut it out. And that's using that little label die that comes in with the Meadow Dies. Let's get that out of our way and that out of our way. And now we can just peel this back and take our little piece out and make sure all of our little dooflotchies are out of there. I'm not sure what a dooflotchie is, but I hear about those quite often. So let's go ahead and get our trash out of our way. And now we're going to bring back in our Calypso Coral and our card base. So remember, we're going to open this way. So before I start putting anything down, I'm going to use the tape runner, not a tape runner, but the Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to use the plus because I want this to adhere really well. And I'm just going to run some adhesive along the top, and where it came over, I'm just going to fold it back onto itself, and I'm going to put about 3 strips along this piece. Just making sure that I get that to seal down really well. And this is going to be so easy because all you're going to do is just fold that back onto itself and give it a good press. Now you have this nice little flap inside. Let me zoom y'all back out just a bit. So now you have this, so we can go ahead and concentrate on decorating our front. So we have our piece of Calypso Coral. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive, and I am just going to put a good amount on the back of this, just like that. And then I'm going to glue this down to the front of my card. Now you're going to have a very minute little border around that edge, and I cut it that way because I think it looks so nice when you see just a tiny bit peeking out, especially when you're using a dark cardstock like this. So the next thing we want to do is we want to cut a piece that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 for our inside piece, and that's just going to be a piece of white like this. So we're going to cut that down, and I'm just using our regular basic white for this. So 4 1/8. You could do 4 if you wanted to and have a larger border, but I want my little mat size to be 4 1/8. So we're just going to take a smidgen off of it this way, and we're going to turn it to the 5, and I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to count over 1, 2, and 3. So 5 3/8, and that's just a little sliver off of that side. And then we can go ahead and put this piece down inside. And remember, our card is going to go like this, so it's going to be a landscape. So again, I'm going to go ahead, and the reason I like that little border, we did the little border on the outside, so I think it just keeps it all cohesive if we do it on the inside as well. So I'm going to lay that mat down just like that. Give it a good press. Let that glue adhere. So now we have all of this done. Well, I have this piece of that beautiful metallic gold, and what I want to do with that is I want to use some of these dies, and I think I'm going to do the same thing I did on this card. And you see I did 2 of these little gold sprigs. I think I'm going to go with 3 this time, because when I was putting that together I thought, I think I need 1 more. So we're going to see if we can get, we'll probably bring the other piece of gold in. Yep, we need that other piece of gold. So I'm going to cut 3 of these, and once I get those cut, also the butterflies, we need to do 2 of those, and these butterflies are in your in these dies as well. And here's the big one. I knew I laid them over here. So I am going to take this paper to my die cut machine, and I'm going to cut 3 of these and 2 each of the different butterflies, and we will be right back. And now, through the magic of YouTube, where our pieces are all cut, the only thing I need to do is grab my Take Your Pick tool, and I did weed out, I guess you would call it weeding, some of my pieces out of here. So anywhere that it needed these little pieces that don't belong, we need to pick those out. And this cardstock, because it is, I would say it's more like a bonded cardstock, because it's it almost feels like it has a plastic texture to it. So sometimes the pieces are not as cooperative as they would be in regular cardstock, but it's all good because they hold up so well to die cutting. And it really isn't that hard to get these pieces out. I just take my Take Your Pick tool, and I will pick at them until I get them all popped out. And once they're all done, the good thing is our butterflies, we don't have to do anything to those except put some sequins on them. So, or some jewels, however you want to decorate yours. And you may want to do all yours out of cardstock, and that is perfectly fine too. I just thought the gold was so pretty. It adds just a tiny bit of elegance to your card, and I just love it. Okay, so that piece is ready. So we got 1 more to poke the little pieces out of, and I don't mind doing this. I actually kind of find it, I don't know, just kind of relaxing. So I like to make sure that I get all of my little pieces out like that. And you can lay it down on your work surface and just lift it, and that will sometimes pull them out. But when it's a delicate piece like this, you definitely want to be careful, because the last thing you want to do is tear it and then have to go back and recut it. So I usually just take my time. You know, half of the process in crafting is it's not getting to the end, but it's the enjoyment you get out of getting to the end. So take your time and enjoy the trip. So sometimes the trip can be just as much fun as the destination, and I think that's true in crafting. All right, so I have all my pieces ready. So let's bring our card back over, and we're going to go ahead and work on our front of our card. Now I have some black sequins. You can use some black jewels. I know there's a the matte black dots. Let me show you those. They look something like this. Those would be cute on there, but I'm going to use these the little sequins. I just like those, and I'm not even sure these may have come in a paper pumpkin, but if you don't have black sequins, you can use any type of little black embellishment that you like. So I'm going to take my butterflies, just the ones that are the whole body. I'm going to bend them up so that I can see where the body goes. And I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to use the putty end. And I'm just going to pull two sequins for each one of my butterflies. And just stick them where the body should be. And you can move them, you know, get them where you want them. And that just really brings our butterfly to life. So again, I'm just going to bend up the body like that, and then grab my sequins. And these have adhesive on the back, so you don't have to worry about trying to put glue down, which most of Stampin' Up's gems, especially anything that comes on a card, it's already going to have adhesive on it, which I think is fantastic. So let me get some of this debris out of my way. Now we're going to go ahead and decide where we're going to put our flowers. Now I want to kind of build my flowers from this corner up, and I want a little bit of these little sprigs to be on both sides and in the middle. I didn't have them on the middle on the last one, and that's what I felt like was missing. So I'm going to put one in the middle, just like that. And once I get that where I want it, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to take some of my Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm going to lift these pieces up, and I'm going to put a piece of Stampin' Seal right there and just lay that back down into the Stampin' Seal. That's going to kind of hold everything together for me. And we are going to come back and snip this out, so it's not going to be a big deal. I'm going to pull just a little bit of that out of my way. Just like that. And I'm going to grab my paper snips. And I am going to cut this off about here. And then I am going to grab some baker's twine. I'm going to actually use the linen thread. And that's that little ditty right there. I love this linen thread. And I'm just going to take a piece, I'd say maybe about 20 inches long, something like that. And I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to, with me holding it together on this end and my loop on the other end, I'm going to cut my loop. Because what I want to do is I want to tie a bow around the bottom of this so it looks like a little bouquet. So, but I want it to be double so that my bow will look full. So I get my finger up underneath there and pull that through. And then tie that down. I'm going to bring it over into like a square knot. And then I am going to proceed to tie this in a bow. We're going to see how this turns out. Not too shabby. Okay, let's pull those in. We can adjust our tails and our loops just by pulling them. That's not bad at all. I'm pretty pleased with that. So what we do want to do is trim these tails a little bit. So I'm going to bring them about to here and just take my scissors and snip. And that gives us a nice full little bow right there that holds everything together. And then I'm going to proceed to lay this down about like so. I don't want this to go over the edge of my card too very far, so I'm going to be mindful of that when I put this down. But I am going to use some Stampin Dimensionals on the back. So I don't need minis, I need full-size Stampin Dimensionals. Here we go. And I'm going to put one right here over top of that baker's twine or that linen thread. And I'm going to put one here. Maybe one right there. And maybe one right there. I want some of this to look like it's loose and just kind of, you know, flowing. And I think this is going to be so pretty to look that way. So now let's take the backers off of this. Just like this. I like to use that pick end of my take your pick tool for lifting these up. Works really well. Now remember what I said. I want to be very cautious to not let this go over that top edge up there. So I'm going to lay that down first and just let everything else kind of follow. Just like that. I want my loops just a tiny bit smaller on that bow. Like that. So I like that. I think that looks really pretty. I do want to come back under here and put one more Stampin' Dimensional because it's not adhered as well right here as I would like. And press that down, and that kind of holds everything in place. Just like that. And I got a little bit of Stampin' Dimensional showing back here. So just whenever that happens, just use your take your pick tool and just press it back and then press it down. And that usually works really well. Alright, so that is that part of our card. So now we need to put our butterflies. And I want one going this way. And for these, I'm just going to use regular glue. And I'm just going to put a smidgen of glue on the back of that little body part. And if you keep your wings bent up, it will give you more dimension with your butterfly. So I have these little butterflies that are like the little side ones. And I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm going to bend that body toward the wings, and then I want to set one of those down maybe right there, like it's sitting right there on that flower. So I'm going to put adhesive right on that little edge and then sit it just like that. Isn't that pretty? Now this butterfly is going to be up here. Now I've had some of you questioning when I'm going to start my Christmas cards, and I did do a few Christmas cards when the mini catalog came out. I couldn't help myself because some of that stuff was just too beautiful. So be on the lookout starting probably the end of October we will be working on Christmas cards from then through Christmas. So it's going to be a very busy time for all of us. I'm going to save this one to put on my little label. So I'm going to hold that one out, but I do have one more thing I want to put on. Our little bumblebees are so stinking cute. I just can't help myself. I've got to put one of these bumblebees, and I'm going to attach it with a glue dot. These work so well for this type of embellishment, and it's so simple because all you have to do is find your glue dot, lay your bee or your whatever it is down into the glue, press it, peel it up, and you've got glue on the back of that, and then you can just put your little bumblebee down wherever you want him to be. I love this card. I think it's so cute. And now we are going to put the little thinking of you. I think I want to slide it under here. Right about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put glue. I think I'm going to use liquid glue for this as well. And I just want to add glue to the top edge. And then I'm going to lay it up underneath that little gold flower, making sure I got it nice and straight. Sometimes when I bring it over and I look at it from underneath, I can tell that I've got it straighter because it's not as busy under here as it is on top. That looks really good. So now we can take the little flower, the little butterfly, I'll get it out in a minute, and decide where we want him to be, and I think right there. So again, liquid glue, a little dab right there, and then just sit this down where you want it to go. And there is the front of our card. Is that not spectacular? But we're not done. We still have the inside and both of these flaps, plus we have a place here to put a beautiful greeting. So let's see. I think what I want to do on my inside, I think I want to go with that Calypso Coral again. But we're going to do it a little bit different on the inside. I think what I want to do, I'm going to let that sit and dry for a minute while I work with my other piece. And let's see, this piece can work for in here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece down. Let me cover up my little bumblebees. So we know that this piece needs to be 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. So 3 and 1, 2, 3. That's perfect. And 5 and 1, 2, 3. So we just need to take a smidgen off of this side, and we've got our piece to go on the inside. And I think what I want to do with this is I want to stamp again. But I think I'm going to do something a little different. I think I'm going to go full on with this stamp. And we're going to do it in the Calypso Coral once again. Again, that tone on tone. And I'm just going to go across. And see, there's really no rhyme or reason how I'm putting this down. I'm just inking up and stamping. And there, that is done. Now I need 2 more pieces to go on the inside before I clean that stamp. I'm going to go ahead and cut my strips for inside. And my inside pieces are going to be 1 3/8 by 5 1/4. So 1 3/8. So we're going to go ahead and cut these first. So 1, and again we're going to count over 1, 2, 3. That's going to give me my 3/8. And we need these to be 5 1/4. And 5 1/4. So these I want to stamp as well. And I think with this, I'm going to stamp them just a little bit different than we did the other ones. I don't know. I really like the cohesiveness of using that same stamp. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do these just like I did the other ones. So let's go ahead and use that same stamp. And let's... I'm really debating because I've really got another idea that I wanted to use. Let's try it. It's just cardstock. If it doesn't work out, you know what? We can come back and revisit. I do need the ink out because I am going to do the tone on tone, but I need to clean the stamp. And then we're going to pick up the other stamp, and I'm going to put these 2 pieces of cardstock together. I'm going to line them up so that they are side by side. And I'm going to grab this little writing. And I just want to stamp this all the way down. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be on here. I love that. That looks really cute. That was exactly what I was looking for. So now that I got that done, I am going to set my stamp over here on my chamois. And let's move our little piece of paper out of our way. And now I'm going to bring this in, and I want to put this piece right here. So we are going to adhere this down with our liquid glue. I know that some of you wanted to see how I made this card when I did it on my live, and I don't have the card to show you because I've already mailed it out. In fact, I hope the recipients already received it. And I'm going to lay this in about like that. And press. It looks like everything's adhered well on the front. So then I'm going to lay these pieces here and here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. And I want to make sure that I'm getting them nice and even. And then turn it over and do the other side. Just like that. And now we keep everything very cohesive with this card. I love it, love it, love it. So the next thing I want to do is I want to grab some black. And I have a little scrap here of black. And I want to cut maybe a couple of labels that we're going to put on the inside here. I also want to do some stamping on the inside, so let's do the stamping first. I think what I want to do is I want to go back in with this piece. And we're going to use that Calypso Coral because it is beautiful. And this time I'm just going to do, let's see if we can do this without, I probably should have done this before I glued this down, but it was hindsight. Let me get my little piece of paper to put under here. And we're going to stamp right there. And maybe right there. And maybe right here. Just a little something there on that edge that's going to show down on the bottom here. Now we're going to close up our Calypso Coral, and I'm going to grab the other message that was out of here. Heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. And we're going to stamp that right inside. And I think I'm going to do the flower, and we're going to do it over here, maybe right up there, and we're going to do that in Calypso Coral as well, but the sentiment I want in black. So I'm going to try to center that up, grab a stamp block, and grab my Momento ink, and I'm going to come in right about here. Very nice. And then we are going to clean that off because you know I can't stand a dirty stamp. And now we need to find our dies that we want to use for our labels for up in the top. So I'm going to go to, I think I'm going to grab the Hippo and Friends. I love these dies. I think they're so pretty. And we are going to do I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple out with this one, and then we're going to cut a couple out of another size, so in a different color, because I think it'd be really pretty. There's that one, and we need one more. And this one's going to be a little bit different than the one that I made before, just in the little details that I'm doing like this. So I'm going to put one of these here and one here. And what we want to do is match them up like back to back. I'm going to actually glue them together at the top, and then we will literally sit them in like this. think that might be the easiest way to do this and make sure that we get them nice and even. Now I'm going to cut 2 more out of this particular die, and I'm going to do that one in Calypso Coral. So lay that in and run it through. So that's that one, and we need 1 more. There's that one. So for these, we are going to center these on the front of this, and we're going to put a little message on it. So we're going to put, let's see what we're going to put on this one. Okay, I think what I want to do is I want to put these together first, like I said, and I want to center them up completely together on the top. So what I'm going to do is put glue on the back sides. Make sure you're doing it on the back side of them, of your larger one. So I'm going to put glue across here. And then I'm going to take the other one with the back to the back and line them up just like that and press. I think this is the best way to make these fit perfectly. I think it's just a neat way to do it. And then when we get ready to put that down on there, we'll put some adhesive in there and then just hold it. And I think that will work perfectly. Let's go ahead and decide what we're going to stamp on here. I know I want the word, I don't think we can get, "You're too kind." That might work on there. And I need a little "thank you" is what I need. So let's see what we can find that has just a simple little "thank you." How about this one right here? "Take time to do what makes your soul happy." I like that. And that comes from Best Chapter. And I believe it will fit on here perfectly. And maybe I don't want to do this. I think what I'm going to do is I changed my mind, and I'm going to just do Love on one, and I am going to do this in the Momento black ink. So let's just grab it and a stamp block. And I definitely want to make sure I get this one nice and straight. Oh yeah, that stamp's so pretty. Love it. Cannot sing the praises enough about the quality of the stamps that Stampin' Up! Carries. They are gorgeous. So nope, we got one more. And we're going to do the word love on this one. And again, I want to try to get it nice and straight. And maybe a couple of these little flowers would be cute on there. That's very, very cute. Okay, so now that we've got those decorated, we can go ahead and bring this all back together and put this card together and call it a done deal. So this is definitely, like I said when I made the other card, this is a really make the fuss card. It's not one that you're going to sit down and do in 5 or 10 minutes. It's going to take a little bit of time. I also want to stamp that flower. So we're just going to stamp this in the Calypso Coral right up here in the top corner. I think I want it like that. Got a little ink right there. It's okay. We'll try to use our Mono Sand eraser once that dries and get that off of there. It happens because I was stamping it against the bulk of this middle piece. It's all right. Alright, so now let's go ahead and adhere these onto here. And I'm not going to pop them up, and I'll tell you why. We already got bulk in the card, so I don't want to add any more bulk to the card. So I'm going to bring that over right about like that, wiggling it and try to get it centered right in the middle. And then the other side is going to be okay, I put it on there the wrong way. Oh my goodness. Alright, good thing I saw that. Be careful when you put these down, make sure that you're putting them in the right direction. I'm glad I caught it before that completely adhered. Okay, so now that's going to go on there like this. And so this one needs to be in this direction. So one's going to be look upside down, and the other one is going to be, but when you turn the card like this, it will be in the right direction. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so this one needs to be glued down like this. So a little glue, and bring it right there, press it, and now we're ready to put glue inside of here. And we're going to hold that open and slide it down, get it where you want it. And I like to test it because I want to make sure it's not going over the top edge of my card. Once I get it where I want it, then I'm going to press it down. Just like that. Isn't that cute? And this card is done. I love the way this turned out. I think it's adorable. I think this is a card that you'd be proud to give anyone. I mean, it's got a lot of detail, and then when they open it, they've got a message up and down and all around. I love the way that turned out. I hope you did. I am going to take my Mono Sand eraser, I'll get that out right, and see if I can get this off right here. And we're going to hope I can. This usually works pretty good for taking off little scribbles of ink, because what it does, it sands the layer of the cardstock, just barely sands it off. So a lot of times it will take that ink off, you know, with it. Faded a little bit, not as much as I would like, but you know what? It's homemade. I'm not going to stress over it. I still think the card is gorgeous, and it is homemade, and you know what? We don't do perfect, right? Right. I hope y'all have enjoyed the making of this card. I hope this is something that you would try in your craft room. If you need any of the supplies to make this card happen for you, please look at my website, and you can place an order directly there. Or if you need help with your order, I'll be more than glad to walk you through placing your order, or you can call me and tell me what you want, and I will place it for you. So anyway, I hope everybody has a beautiful, lovely day. God bless and keep you. And as I always say in closing, let everything you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. Until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.